In the subsequent slides, we'll talk about protective mechanism underpinning resilience. Most major resilience theorists such as Rutter and Marston emphasize the importance of protective mechanisms to understanding the why and how of resilience. A protective mechanism directly or indirectly positively modifies a person's response to a risk situation at turning points in life towards adaptive outcomes. In subsequent slides, we are going to talk about different levels at which these protective mechanism operates. Protective mechanisms can occur with or without external interventions. They are conceptually distinct from vulnerability mechanisms which leave a person susceptible to greater risk or to risk mechanisms that directly or indirectly cause harm. Protective mechanisms are factors which in certain circumstances are associated with adaptive functioning in the face of adversity. When referring to a protective construct in the context of resilience, the term mechanism is preferred over factor, although some use these terms interchangeably. Mechanism captures the process nature of resilience and indicate that no one factor by itself, however powerful, is sufficient to produce an adaptive outcome. Protective mechanism can be distinguished empirically depending on the nature of the effect they have on the individual. Promotive direct positive effects of a factor on a outcome correspond to compensatory model of resilience. For example, parental monitoring of behavior among young people living in poverty may compensate for greater probabilities that these young people will commit acts of violence. This is similar to Rutter's third and fourth mechanisms of operation. Protective factors model depict resources moderating or reducing the effects of a risk on a negative outcome, such as examining if the relationship between poverty and acts of violence is lower among young people with higher levels of parental monitoring. Contemporary resilience research takes a multi-level approach to protective mechanisms and their interaction. Protective mechanisms may be conceptually located at individual level or the social level, while factors in isolation may be associated with better psychological functioning. It is how individuals interact with their relationships, environments, and even their own interpretation of adversity that constitutes a resilience process and leads to adaptive outcomes. In this slide, we will talk about protective mechanism at individual level. We can start with family environment. A supportive family environment is one of the most crucial protective mechanisms for supporting resilience in children and throughout life. Parental supports aid resilience among children facing a diverse range of risk and has been specifically linked to better outcomes with respect to substance use, violence, and alcohol abuse. This aligns with evidence of importance of secure attachment in promoting resilience, specifically and supporting good psychological functioning for any child or adult. Social support is another important aspect. It is crucial protective mechanism across ages, domains, cultures, and risk factors. Lack of social support often predicts post-traumatic stress and maladaptive responses to adversity. Generally, perceived social support is more strongly associated with functioning than objective social support. What matters is whether a person feels that he or she has a meaningful relationship to recall on in time of need, not whether he or she has perceived observable, tangible support such as advice or material resources. The composition and size of person's social network changes with age, but social support is persistently identified as an important protective mechanism. Mentoring relationships, access to trusting adult relationship, and supportive friends or romantic partners promote resilience in the face of neglect, abuse, and low socioeconomic status and other challenges. The coping skills is something very important and is a core component of resilience and a central protective mechanism supporting resilience across a variety of risk, ages, and cultures. Specific coping mechanisms known to facilitate resilience include reappraising a situation more positively, regulating emotions, utilizing social support, accessing tangible resources and planning, and certain other. Personality is linked to resilience in some domains, such as abuse and neglect. A person's sense of self-efficacy has been linked to academic resilience and critical understanding of resilience to poverty. Self-efficacy is sometimes considered a component of resilience itself. Optimism and hope have been consistently associated with resilience in the limited context of health and organizational psychology. A community sense of social hope may facilitate individuals' resilience, although evidence is it is infancy. A constellation of dispositional traits such as self-efficacy, optimism, hope, and hardiness is sometimes known as ego resiliency. Gender has been differentially identified as risk factor across various cultures. Being female can be protective in the face of abuse and neglect, health risk, low socioeconomic status, psychological risk associated with aging and certain conflicts. Boys and men are more susceptible to negative impacts of risk such as violence, substance abuse, and low socioeconomic status, and are subject to cultural pressure towards certain masculine norms. These may promote unhealthy behaviors and inhibit support seeking compared to girls and women, who are more likely to seek emotional support and less likely to engage in violence. However, some researchers have suggested that girls and women are less resilient than boys and men following exposure to disaster and climate hazards. While cultural ideals may incentivize men to maintain good health and provide for their family, other individual level protective mechanisms include stable living environment, which includes long-term foster placement and long-term housing to support homeless or highly mobile children. Neurobiological differences in functioning are currently a topic of investigation. Physiological mechanisms underlying rewards and motivation, fear response, memory, emotional regulation, and cognitive functioning may facilitate resilience. Let's talk about protective mechanisms at social level. Education. It is often considered an outcome indicative of resilience in contexts where expectations for academic achievement are low, such as in communities facing high level of poverty and among individuals from an otherwise disadvantaged background. Education sits at a nexus of process and outcome. Academic resilience is a particular area of interest given the strong relationship between academic attainment and later psychological functioning, physical health, and employment opportunities. Academic resilience brings sustained engagement, school bonding, and holistic support across assets at the level of individual, family, peer, classroom, and the school. Some evidence suggests that education provides accumulated financial and social resources facilitating long-term resilience during disasters. Ethnicity and culture can be protective. At multifaceted cross-cultural research demonstrate cultural values and strong relationships supported by common ties provide both tangible and intangible resources across interpersonal, intrapersonal, and community domain. Culture may support spiritual responses to challenges, catalyzing practical support and supporting meaning making. As for example, Hispanic cultures are associated with better health outcomes, strong family relationship, and performance of better health behaviors for good of the family. Culture may foster value of service to family and morality that strengthen social relationship and help make meaning to ongoing conflict. Another important factor is socioeconomic status is often investigated as a risk factor given association between low SES and negative outcomes for health, well-being and attainment. Income stability and availability of material resources are associated with resilience following disaster. However, mechanism of resilience among low socioeconomic status groups can be hidden by stigmatizing cultural discourse and social assumptions about functioning. Low socioeconomic status individual may demonstrate resilience through adaptability, creativity, communality, and perseverance in the face of ongoing adversity in the ways that higher socioeconomic status individual may not show. People are not resilient. Resilience is also not a functional feature of ecology of human development. Rather, resilience is a concept denoting that the relationship between a person and the person's ecology has adaptive significance. That is, the relationship involves a fit between characteristic of individual and features of his or her ecology that reflects either adjustment in the face of altered or new environmental threats, challenges or processes, or constancy of maintenance of appropriate or healthy functioning in the face of environmental variations in the resources needed for appropriate or healthy functioning. As such, the person context relationship summarized by term resilience reflect individual well-being at a given point in time and thriving across time in the face of features within the ecological context that challenges adaptation. In turn, this relationship also implies that the ecology or context that are actions that could maintain or further the quality of its structure or it functions in the service of supporting healthy human behavior and development. Understanding it from the perspective of childhood and adolescence. Much of the resilience research has focused on children and young people who have been exposed to adversity. Protective mechanisms are comprised of personality factors and coping skills, culture, community, social relationships, and available resources. There are researchers who specify a more process-oriented approach in which resilient youth are those who overcome adversity through their use of several types of internal and external resources, which include social, emotional, cognitive, and goal-oriented actions. There are researchers who have always implicated that supportive and loving relationship with parents or family members is among the most powerful resilience process in childhood and adolescence. This includes parental monitoring even when its relationship is at a distance, involves caretaking by young person or has been interrupted by interpersonal strife. Certain researchers hold a more social ecological view of youth resilience, acknowledging children's vulnerability as their lives are often directed by adults around them. They view resilience as supporting young people to develop capacities in coping basic needs, belonging, learning, and core self. In adolescence, when peer relationships become more developmentally significant, supportive friendship can also prove to be important mechanism of resilience. Understanding resilience during adulthood and later life. The potential life stressors of adolescent are likely to differ from those of an adult in later life. Similarly, the concerns of a child after disaster will vary from those of a person more advanced in years. Adults have had years to develop coping skills in response to daily stressors and prolonged adversity so that their coping becomes habitual. Adults may have faced the developmentally specific stressors of declining health, caretaking burdens, social isolation, and the cumulative effects of physiological stress or chronic illness. It therefore makes sense that the process facilitating psychological resilience in adulthood may be different to those facilitating resilience in youth. Social support and meaning making remain important. Social support, community support, and spirituality aid resilience in adults following both disaster and sustained adversity. Yet they appear to be resilience processes distinct to adulthood and later life. Emotional complexity aiding resilience is more likely in adults, and self-esteem quicker recover from daily stressor, and emotions which are positive also support resilience in adulthood. Some suggest that an experience of transient stress followed by a return to a stable functioning after a disaster is the norm. Other reports that sustained trauma erodes psychosocial resources, resulting in higher post traumatic stress disorder and depression with minimal or non healthy resilient trajectories. When resilience is defined as adaptability rather than stability, it may still be normative, but will likely involve immediate distress that persists for some time. Sustained conflict and trauma involve many daily stressors such as poverty, social isolation, and inadequate housing. These can be indicative of ongoing, pervasive, and chronic threat to well being and also erodes people's coping capacity over time.